Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If hard work guaranteed financial peace, wouldn't you have it by now? You earn, you try, you survive. And yet, money still feels like it's leaking. Not in big, dramatic ways, in small, silent ones, like a subscription you forgot. Welcome to The Last Receipt. Today, we're exposing the paycheck that looks like security, but might be the reason you're stuck. The second paycheck.
Meet Daniel and Andrea. Daniel works in IT. Andrea is a physical therapist. Together, they make about $155,000 a year. That sounds rich, right? Like, that's the kind of number people hear and go, bro, you're set. Top 15% of earners. 2 good careers, no crazy lifestyle. They're not out here buying yachts. They're not popping champagne in Miami. They're normal, responsible. The kind of couple your parents would point at and say, see, that's what success looks like. But here's what their Thursday night looks like. 11:47 p.m. Lights off. Laptop open. Bank app glowing in the dark. Daniel scrolls. Refreshes. Checks again. Then he says something that honestly scares him. How do we only have $900 left? Not after a vacation, not after Christmas shopping, just after life, rent, cars, groceries, insurance, childcare, all the boring stuff. And Andrea doesn't even answer. She just stares at the screen because she's thinking the same thing. How can 2 incomes feel this fragile?
And this is where most people get it wrong. They assume if you feel broke at $150K, you must be irresponsible, like you're secretly door-dashing sushi every night or buying designer bags. But Daniel and Andrea, they're not doing that. They're doing exactly what everyone is told to do. Work hard, earn more, upgrade slowly, build a life, be normal. And that's the trap. Because the problem isn't reckless spending. The problem is something way sneakier. Your second paycheck doesn't create freedom. It creates eligibility. Eligibility for higher fixed costs.
Here's what happens when 2 incomes enter the picture. Suddenly, you don't shop for what you need. You shop for what your income now allows. Not because you're greedy, because the world adjusts around you. The mortgage broker smiles and says, you guys qualify for $650,000. The daycare says, that'll be $2,200 a month. The car dealership says, with your salaries, this payment is easy. And you don't even feel like you're splurging because everyone around you is doing the same thing. So slowly, your life becomes built on 2 paychecks, not as a bonus, as a requirement. That's the difference. 1 paycheck is survival. 2 paychecks becomes a lifestyle contract.
Daniel and Andrea wanted something simple. A safe neighborhood, good schools, decent commute. Nothing fancy. But here's what they didn't realize. They weren't competing with single-income families. They were competing with other dual-income couples. So the price of normal rises when everyone has 2 paychecks. 2 paychecks becomes the minimum bid. That's why starter homes feel like luxury now. That's why average life costs so much. It's not that you're failing. It's that the game changed and nobody told you. Let's read the receipt. Daniel and Andrea bring home about $9,400 a month after taxes. Sounds solid. Now watch how fast it disappears. Housing, insurance, property tax, $4,100. Childcare, $2,200. 2 cars, gas, insurance, $1,350. Groceries, utilities, phones, $1,450. Student loans, $620. Minimum debt payments, $400. Total fixed costs, $10,120. That's more than they even take home. So what covers the gap? Credit cards, transfers. Just this month. And that's the modern trap. you're not broke. You're overcommitted. And here's the part nobody talks about. The second paycheck comes with hidden costs, not financial, human. When both adults are working full-time, you don't just lose time, you lose energy. And energy is expensive. Because tired people don't cook, tired people don't plan, tired people don't optimize. They survive. So what happens? More takeout, more convenience spending, more we'll deal with it later. This is the exhaustion tax, and it eats the second paycheck alive. So the real question isn't, should both people work? The real question is your second paycheck buying freedom or buying obligations? Because if your lifestyle requires two incomes, then you don't have a safety net. You have a tightrope. One layoff, one illness, one emergency, and the math collapses. And here's the wild part. There is a way out, but it feels backwards. Most people won't do it because it looks like downgrade when it's actually escape. In part 2, I'll show you the rule that breaks the trap completely, because every month leaves a receipt, and most people never read it. Keep watching.
So if you're watching this thinking, okay, so what's the solution? Do we just never buy a house? Never have kids? Never live? No. The way out isn't quitting life. The way out is one rule. One simple rule that changes everything. And almost nobody follows it because it feels completely backwards. Here it is. Never build your life on two paychecks. Let me say that again. Never let your fixed costs require both incomes. Because the moment they do, your second paycheck stops being extra and becomes oxygen. And when your paycheck becomes oxygen, you can't breathe. That's the trap. The escape is simple. One income pays for survival. The second income buys freedom. That's it. That's the whole game. And I know what you're thinking. That's easy to say, but rent is high, everything is high. We need both incomes. But here's what's crazy. Most people don't need both incomes. They need both incomes because they upgraded their baseline, slowly, one step at a time. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly better school zone, a slightly newer car, a slightly higher lifestyle, until suddenly, two paychecks became the minimum, not the advantage.
Let me introduce you to a different couple, Marcus and Elena. Same age, same combined income, about $150K a year. But their life looks completely different. They didn't buy the dream house. They bought the boring house. Not Instagram perfect, not top school district in the state. Just solid, safe, affordable. Their mortgage is $1,900, not $3,800. They drive older cars, paid off. They don't have car payments eating their future. And when Elena got a raise, they didn't upgrade, they didn't move, they didn't inflate their life. They did something most people never do. They kept living on one paycheck and treated the second paycheck like it didn't exist. Elena's income goes straight into emergency fund, retirement, index funds, debt payoff, options, not lifestyle, not upgrades, not we deserve this. They automate it. It never even touches their checking account. Because if you never see the money, you never build your life around it. That's the cheat code.
And this is the part people miss. We think wealth is nice kitchens, vacations, new cars. But real wealth is something quieter. Wealth is options. Wealth is waking up and knowing, if I lose my job, we're okay. Wealth is being able to say no to a toxic boss, to burnout, to overtime, to panic. Marcus and Elena aren't rich because they earn more. They're rich because their life costs less than their income. That's the difference. Here's what happens when you live on one income and bank the other. Your savings rate explodes. Most people say 5%, maybe 10%. Marcus and Elena, they're saving 45, 50%. And here's what that does. At a 50% savings rate, financial independence doesn't take 40 years.
it takes 12 to 15. That's not hustle. That's not grinding harder. That's just refusing to lock your second paycheck into obligations. The trap doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like adulthood. It feels like just one more upgrade, just until daycare ends, just until rates drop, just until we earn more. But lifestyle inflation is a moving treadmill. You never arrive, because the system is designed to absorb your extra income before you can build freedom with it. The two-income trap doesn't break you with one big decision. It breaks you with 1,000 normal ones.
So here's the rule again. Never let your life require two paychecks, because when both incomes are committed, you don't have a backup plan. You have a fragile machine. But when one income covers the basics, the second income becomes your escape hatch, your wealth builder, your insurance, your freedom fund. And if you're watching this thinking, okay, I see it now, good. Because in part 3, we're going to talk about the exact steps to build financial autopilot, so your money stops leaking quietly and starts building something real. Because every month leaves a receipt. And next, we stop the leak. So now you've seen it. The trap isn't that you don't make enough. The trap is that modern life quietly demands both paychecks. And once both paychecks are spoken for, you don't have margin, you don't have peace, you don't have options, you just have obligations. But here's the good news. Escaping doesn't require winning the lottery. It requires one thing, a system. Not motivation, not willpower, a system. Because the people who win with money aren't smarter, they're automated. Most people think the goal is make more money, but the real goal is make your life cheaper than your income and make saving automatic. That's how freedom is built, quietly, boringly, consistently. So let's make this real. If you wanted to start escaping the two-income trap, starting this month, here's the exact blueprint. Step number 1, build the one-paycheck life. Step 1 is simple. Pretend one income disappears tomorrow. Ask yourself, could we pay for housing, food, utilities, transportation, the basics? Because if the answer is no, that's the danger. The goal is not to suffer. The goal is to structure your baseline so one paycheck can hold the foundation. That might mean a smaller house, one less car payment, a different zip code, less lifestyle inflation. Not forever, just until freedom is real. Because comfort isn't the goal, control is. Step number 2, the second income rule. Step 2, treat the second paycheck like it's not yours. This is where people mess up. They see extra money and immediately upgrade life. But the second income should do one job: buy back your future. Here's the order: emergency fund, high interest debt, retirement accounts, investments, freedom. The second paycheck is not for lifestyle, it's for escape velocity. Step number 3, automate or think it doesn't exist. This is the secret. If you have to decide to save every month, you won't. Life will eat it. So you automate it. The money should move before you touch it. Direct deposit splits. Checking, life. Savings, safety. Brokerage, freedom. Because what hits your checking account gets spent. What never arrives gets built. Automation is discipline without effort. Step number 4, the receipt check. Once a month, you do one simple ritual. You look at your life like a receipt. Ask, what did we pay for convenience? What did we pay for stress? What did we pay for exhaustion? Because the most expensive things aren't luxury. They're invisible. DoorDash, impulse Amazon, upgrading cars because we're tired, spending to cope. The system wins when you stop noticing. Freedom begins when you look.
every month leaves a receipt. And listen, if you feel behind, if you feel like you're doing everything right and still drowning, that's not a personal failure. That's a structural trap. You weren't lazy. You weren't reckless. You just built your life inside a system that absorbs every extra dollar before you can build peace. The two-income trap doesn't break people. It just slowly removes margin until everything feels fragile. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's power.
So here's the truth. You don't need a bigger paycheck. You need a life that doesn't require two. Because once both paychecks are locked into survival, you don't own your life. You rent it from bills, from pressure, from the next emergency. But when one income covers the basics and the second builds freedom, you stop living on the edge. You stop leaking quietly. You start building something durable, something calm, something real. And in the next video, we're going to build your first financial autopilot, step by step, so you stop feeling broke, even when you're doing everything right, because every month leaves a receipt. Next time, we stop the leak. If this video made you realize where your money is quietly going, subscribe, because this channel reads the receipts no one wants to look at. See you in the next one.